We're going to be on the second week of the Antichrist today. Again, too big of a figure to kind of pass him off quickly. We hear so much about him. Every horror movie's got some kind of Antichrist in it, so we're going to talk about him a little bit more. Finish him up, put him away, and get on to bigger and better pastures down the road. But this morning we're talking about the beast of the sea. Now, we've dealt with the martyrs. We've dealt with the 144,000. Again, I'll remind you, we're still got plenty of time in Revelation if you want to come in and get about the last 60% of it. We've still got time. You can kind of understand. Cal's doing a great job. Now, understand, if you're listening very closely, he and I may have subtleties that are different, and we do. But we're reading different people. We're interpreting it differently. It doesn't mean the big picture is not lost. The big picture is about Christ. Whether Christ comes back at this point or the Antichrist comes in on the 3.5 years, or all the subtleties really don't matter. Again, you may hear him say a little bit things differently than me. That's fine. Let him read it. I'm going to read it my way, and we'll just do our best. We get to the end, and we find out none of it was right because God had it all figured out. We're interpreting it wrong. But we're going to do our best. And that's all we're trying to do is do our best to tell you the information. You can come home. You can read someone else, and they'll say, no, it's even different than that. That's fine. As long as you keep Christ as king, we'll all be happy there. And so our overall passage for the book of Revelation is chapter 1 and verse 3. And I want us to say this together. You ready? The one who reads this is blessed, and those who hear the words of this prophecy and keep what is written in it are blessed, because the time is near. I've told you the most important thing when you're looking at, and Cal's done the exact, he said the same wording I have 100 times. When you look at the book of Revelation, you want to understand what they're hearing in the first century. We can't use 21st century eyes to look at the book of Revelation. My presupposition is that they would have understood this. They would have understood everything that's going on. Whether they wanted to go the way that Christ wanted or not, I don't know. But I think they would have understood the characters and the people and what they would have looked like. We're just now 2,000 years removed from that group and that society, so we have forgotten what they look like. And so I want to make sure when you understand the time is near is not because it could come tomorrow, even though it can. They would have heard the time is near, meaning that when it happens, it's going to happen like an earthquake. It's going to happen quickly. Now, it would have helped us in the 21st century to write it because the time can come very quickly like an earthquake. That would have helped all of us. But he's writing to that specific group of people in the first century. We're blessed to have it today. So we have to get back to that people in that time to understand it. If you're wanting to have a lot of wisdom and you want to read a lot of great things, go to WikiHow on the internet. Okay, all your problems can be solved by reading WikiHow. It's much better than any trained therapist any day of the week. I was looking up how to deal with a proud, arrogant person. Let's say you're in Walmart and the Antichrist and you were fighting over a box of Cheerios. How do you deal with him? He wants to kill you. He doesn't like any part of you. How could I work this out? Can we get through this? Is he going to get the Cheerios? Am I getting the Cheerios? And so when I looked at it, I found some really good things on WikiHow. Let me see if I can pass this on to you today. See if you understand it. The first thing it says when dealing with a proud and arrogant person is be non-invasive. Don't get in his face. Don't fight him. Okay, he wants to kill you. He doesn't like you. Everything about him is to destroy you. So don't provoke him. Just maybe you'll make it another day or two if you're not invasive, not in his face. Proud people are usually ready for a fight, so just don't let him fight. Just, okay, you can have the Cheerios today. I'm going to go over and get something else. I like Fruit Loops. I'm going to work with those. So when you deal with the Antichrist at Walmart, don't get in his face. Okay, be real passive, warm. Okay, come bearing offerings. Okay, let's see. You guys are just going down the street, seeing each other. You got a box of M&Ms in your pocket. Antichrist is there, wants to kill you. Give him some M&Ms. Maybe he's just low on blood sugar, having a day. Maybe you can put him off a few weeks. He's going to kill you in the end. So maybe you can put him off a little bit. Be intuitive when you're dealing with him. Understand there may be some things you're doing that are just triggering him. He's had a bad day fighting with the wife. He's going out here. The car broke down. You're in front of him. He wants to kill you. That kind of a thing. Do what you can to say, I know what you're going through. I've had tires break down. I've had trouble with the wife. We've had those kind of... Let me see if we can talk this through. You'll make it a week or two more. Who knows? Don't take his behavior personally. He wants to kill you. Don't take that personally.
I have good qualities on my own. Just because you want me dead doesn't mean I should probably be dead. So understand that. Focus on common ground. Do both of you hunt? Do you do those kind of things? Do you like to work on cars? Find something maybe you can do together. So if the Antichrist comes, you've got a way to work this thing out. Know your own limits. You're not perfect either. Okay? That kind of a thing. He wants you dead. You may have had some ill will towards somebody at some point. Understand that about that. Okay, continuing on, these are great things if you ever meet an arrogant person or the Antichrist. Recognize territorialism and confrontational behavior. You see him storming down the hall. He looks like he's ready to tear into somebody. Why don't you just go another way? I see it. I'm going to go down this hall. I don't have to see him today. Now, that kind of a thing is a good thing. Be unemotional. Don't start crying in front of him. He's going to get real frustrated and he'll probably kill you quicker. So let's maybe tell him a joke. Relax a little, break the tension. I know you want to kill me. Let's see if we can relax a little bit. Okay, and the last one, rely on your own accomplishments or goodwill. Just because he wants to kill you doesn't mean you haven't got good qualities in your own right. Okay? Understand these things when you deal with the Antichrist. Now, understand I'm being a bit tongue-in-cheek. We're having a little bit of fun with this. I don't think validating the devil is going to help him get on your side with him. I don't think WikiHow can help us on dealing with the Antichrist. It's just not going to happen. Offering him a bag of M&Ms is not going to make him your friend. This person wants every one of you dead. The devil right now wants every one of you dead. He does not want you doing anything else good. He did not want us out there last night telling the story of Christ. He didn't. We did it because the Lord is with us, and we were blessed because He protected us and He gave us the opportunity to do it. But He doesn't want that. The most proud, arrogant person, the most driven man ever to walk the face of the earth is coming. Let's see if we can understand him a little bit better this morning. So turn in your Bibles to the book of Revelation right at the end. Okay? Written by John. He says it 4 times very clearly. No one debates that John wrote this book. It's obvious he did it. Last book written in the Bible. We're 60 years after Christ has gone back to heaven. We're 30 plus years after Paul's written his last letter. We're in the mid-90s, almost at the turn of the century. And John is on this island as an old man listening to God speak. He's probably wiser than any of us could ever imagine because he's walked with the Lord. He's seen the trouble. He's seen the difficulties. This is who we need to be. Let's get there earlier. Let's see if we can understand what God's saying before we're locked on an island and waiting for Him to speak. We need to be that kind of people. So in Revelation 13, turn over there, verse 6, and I want everyone to stand with me as we honor God's Word. It says this in verse 6, He began to speak blasphemies against God, to blaspheme His name and His dwelling, those who dwell in heaven. Let's pray together. Dear Lord, You're mighty. I thank You for this opportunity, Lord. I thank You for Your Word. Let us understand how we're to live today for all the events that are going to occur in the future. We say this in Your name. Amen. Please be seated. A bit of backstory. Let's catch up. Where were we last week? We started the Antichrist last week, and we discovered he's going to be thrust on the scene at some point. The world is in a mess. They're all looking for a hero. Who isn't looking for a hero? We'd love to have one who's noble and righteous and is going to solve all of our problems. We tend to always put that hope in man, and man always tends to fail every time. But he's going to be thrust on the scene. The world needs someone. He will come out of nowhere. That's the kind of person we saw last week. He will come when the world has fallen away. And I would say that's today. Again, he's going to come at a point when the church, you and me, those who claim themselves to be Christian, have just rejected God. And I gave you a few statistics last week how more and more and more people are turning away from the church. More younger generations, millennials, we're losing about 10% of the millennials, 18 to whatever it is, 24 or something, 34. That group, we're losing more and more to those away from the church every day. They're just turning away and looking to the world. This person will have charisma, and people will be drawn to him. He'll be a great orator, high in rank, well-bred, and he'll probably be tall like Saul was. He'll come most likely from a European nation. These are things we talked about last week. He will be a leader that at some point will make a pact with Israel.
And again, when you see that happening, we're going to offer you protection. You'll be taken care of. You never have to worry about those things again. When that happens, you need to keep your eyes open. He will then take down other leaders of the earth, and he won't have to do it through power or might. He'll do it through political ploy. He'll be very good at it. We talked about a few of those verses showing he's very cunning in political avenues. So the first thing I want you to understand is this morning, and now if he takes those people down, he'll take their position. But this morning, let's talk about his pride just a little bit. Go back to verse 6. He began to speak blasphemies against God, to blaspheme his name and his dwelling, those who dwell in heaven. Again, what's amazing about this, and I'll give you a few verses, we'll talk about it in just a second, is that he's not even going to want false gods out there. You would think that he would allow anything and everything to draw our attention away. He does not want anybody worshiping the one true God. Anything that can even get close to that, he wants that totally removed. So you would think he would promote other gods, but that's not who he's going to be. We have to go back to Daniel 11 to talk about this a little bit. Daniel 11, verses 36 to 38. Now look at this. Then the king will do whatever he wants. He will exalt and magnify himself above every god, and he will say outrageous things against the God of gods. He will be successful until the time of wrath is completed, because what he has been decreed will be accomplished. He will not show regard for the gods of his fathers, the gods longed for by women, or for any other god, because he will magnify himself above all. Instead, he will honor a God of fortress, a God of fathers did not know, with gold, silver, precious stones, and riches. Again, this leader will acknowledge no other religion other than that of the worship of himself or Satan. That's where it's going to be. And so you would think when the world's trying to draw us away that would be the easiest, just water us down. And that makes sense. I mean, the world's good at that, just to get us where our attentions are so all over the place that we can't focus on the one thing. I've made a joke for a long time, and it's not a joke. I think many of these sports out here today are the way the devil's using people to keep them away from church. I mean, what were the few days that used to be protected? And I'm not getting on our baseball, because it was in the afternoon between services. But you see too many things now that are Sunday morning. You see them Wednesday night. The times that used to be totally protected for the church are now being thrown in, almost exclusively being thrown on with games that keep people away from church. It's just a joke. But this person's goal will be to wipe out the thought of God. He will change the moral and natural laws. What do you see happening today? What did the Supreme Court just vote just a few months ago to make? Changing the natural law. Something has essentially been on earth for 6,000 to 7,000 years. Everyone accepted the same thing, and now within the last 50 years, we're much smarter than the previous 6,000. We are so much wiser on knowing what marriage should be in the last 50 years than 6,000 previous years before it. I would think those are some pretty smart people, and they knew what they were talking about. But you see that's what he's going to do. But let's go to Daniel 7 to prove it. He will speak words against the Most High and oppress the holy ones of the Most High. He will intend to change religious festivals and laws. And the Holy One will be handed over to him for a time, times, and half a time. You see, he's going to do anything he can to change anything that we hold beautiful, anything that we hold true to our hearts. He's going to change normal laws, natural laws. Again, everything with reference to marriage and sexuality, just whatever. Let it go. And I'm not even getting on that today. I'm giving you a perfect example in contemporary society that is hitting us very, very closely where we are. As a church, we had to change our own bylaws and add whatever wordage we can in there to protect this church. It's a sad situation. The world's trying to change natural law, the things that came from what God had set up. He will remove the laws the Jews live under. He'll promote everything unholy and profane. And as Christian people, I'm always amazed how we aren't more outraged. I would have thought the Supreme Court would have been covered over with so many letters and people rioting and picketing. And no, we had more picketers for the pro side than against it. It's a sad situation. And we just reside ourselves to deal with it and pray. I think God's people are stronger than that. We should always pray first and then act. I always want to do this. I'm doing better as I'm getting older. And to find out when somebody comes to me, they want me to pray for them. I'm also trying, what can I do for you? You know, I want them to know that I'm on their side. I'm just not praying for you. Is there something how I can help you? Can I bring you some food? Can I watch your kids? Can we take care of you? Something you need me to mow your lawn? What can I do in addition to praying? Because I want you to know that I'm working on your side, on your behalf. It's easy for us to say we pray and then we forget. Again, how many people have done that? Don't raise your hand. I'll pray for you, and the next week, oh my gosh, I forgot. Oh, please be that person. It's not the same. God's people should be better than that, and we're not. But we're falling right into where the evil one is, and I think he can come tomorrow. Again, there's probably a few more laws the Supreme Court can destroy for us to get us closer. He'll offer new laws that are more free and less restrictive. Well, have a little more fun. Live life. Who's to say what's right and wrong? That's in your own heart. You live your own heart. No one else can tell you what to do. Understand how the government's changing the wording. Freedom of religion is not freedom of worship. And that's all you're hearing coming out of the government anymore, freedom of worship. Everyone should have freedom of worship. They changed the terminology on us. Freedom of religion meant I could be anyone I wanted to be in my religion wherever I was. Freedom of worship means in that building you can do anything you want, but don't take it outside. Slowly but steadily, they're working the plan. The enemy's doing a good job. He is in no rush. Just slowly but surely, generation by generation. We do less and less with our kids. We spend less time with them. We give them hours and hours of video games a day, away from parents, away from anyone who can tell them what to do, with whatever rating we allow in our own home, watching whatever shows are on television, not even censoring it for our own kids. Oh, it's just the world we're in. Let them have it. He doesn't have to rush. We're helping him along the way. Christian people are doing a pitiful job of standing up for what is right and holy. It's time to get back on track. Some theologians even believe, it's kind of funny, that he'll try to change the 7-day work week. Why was the 7-day work week put together? Why is the week 7 days and not 20? Because God worked 7 days in the book of Genesis. Man set it up to follow what God had done. Napoleon sought to go to a 10-day work week during the French Revolution. So you see, it's been attempted in the past. He'll say somehow it's more efficient, and all of us will say that you're totally right. Yes, God made the world in 6 days, but he also did it in 13.7 billion years. I'm teaching a conference this Thursday. There's a conference in Albuquerque, and I've got one of the hours dealing with creation versus evolution. And it's just amazing how Christians can validate somehow they both make sense. 6 days, 13.7 billion years, same thing. This doesn't make sense. It's just foolish. Yet most of us have somehow softened Genesis 1. He's going to attempt to obliterate God and what's happened in the school system with reference to evolution. Can't even talk about creationism anymore. It's a joke. I've got so many quotes. I wish at some point, I may just at some point bring it out in here and just teach it again. That this one thing I'm doing here, I put it all together. We went through 3 months. I put it all into one. My whole thing is to let them think that maybe the world doesn't know what they're talking about. I've got so many quotes by their own people saying the reason we did this is because we just can't believe there's a God out there. We can't prove evolution at all, but we definitely don't want to go the God route, because at that point, one of them says we will not go the God route because we would rather deal with sexual issues our own way. They all have their agenda. They can't prove any of it. But this is what we're putting up with. And this is what we're just content with. Through his pride, at some point, he'll try to have a peace treaty with Israel. Daniel 9:27. He will make a firm covenant with many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week, he'll put a stop to the sacrifices and offerings. And the abomination of desolation will be on a wing of the temple until the decreed destruction is poured out on the desolator. Now, Cal did a great job talking about the weeks, but essentially what a week is a year. And so it means at this point it's going to be 7 years, and in the middle of that 7 years is where we get 3.5 years when everything really turns upside down in the tribulation. At that point, he's going to desecrate the temple. When the temple gets built, it's all going to be on. You misread the few preceding verses. Go to Daniel. You can kind of make some sense of it. This enemy will make a treaty with Israel, offering them peace. When this happens, the tribulation essentially begins and the 7 years starts. He will let down, at this point, Israel is going to let down its guard with the treaty. They'll spend time on roads. They'll spend time on cultural improvements. I mean, that's always where we're wanting to be. We want to be able to relax and enjoy our time more and to freely think. think the best thing we do is have a job, keep us busy. We think too much. We have too much time on our hands with nothing to do. We need to be working harder. Halfway through this 7-year tribulation period, the Antichrist will turn his head on Israel. At the beginning of this peace treaty, it all starts. 3.5 years into it, he turns against them. And that's when the destruction really comes. So we see his pride. Let's talk about his persecution just a little bit. Revelation 13:7. And he was permitted to wage war against the saints and to conquer them. He was also given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. When this peace treaty with Israel is broken, it's all on. He is going to not hold himself back. He's done a great job of looking beautiful, taking care of people and loving people and solving problems. At this point, halfway through, we're going to see the real personality come out. And it's infused totally with the evil one. This will usher in the last half. Daniel 7:21. As I was watching, this horn waged war against the holy ones, and he was prevailing over them. If we're still here. Now again, our prayer is that we are pre-tribulation saints. Before the tribulation starts, the minute that thing starts, we're pulled out. That will be the first event. That's what we're praying for, and that's what we're hoping for. But there are plenty of conservative theologians that can go anywhere, even all the way to the end, that we might stay. So that's something we can debate on another time. That's why I'm not messing with it on a Sunday morning, because I can't prove it. I'm doing my best to share with you what the Bible says about specific things. But we see this. In verse 25 it states, he will persecute the saints of the Most High. Those people, God's people, those who, let's say the church has been taken out, you and I, and those who are left, there are going to be people that always come to the Lord. Maybe for the first time they actually looked up and says, all the Christians disappeared. I wonder if I should have been a Christian. That would be enough to wake me up that maybe that Jesus thing was actually true, let alone all the other things. Maybe there's going to be someone who can actually look at this person and see him truly for what he is. Whatever he is, God's going to use the 2 witnesses to share. The 144,000 are going to be evangelists going all over. We've talked about that. But he's going to do what he can to destroy the Christian people that are coming. Because every person that turns to Christ is one less that he has. It's not, again, he knows he's going to lose in the end. His goal at this point is to do what he can to keep the Lord from getting any more. You know, used to they would do, like Gary Kasparov, he would fight Big Blue every year in chess. They would do that for a while. And Big Blue was designed by IBM just to play chess. This great computer, and he could beat it up to, and it was thinking 100 million computations per second. Once it got to 200 million, I read some things about him. He says he just tried to tie it. He couldn't beat the computer anymore. There's no way he could stay ahead of it. If he could tie it piece for piece, he could get to the end and maybe do a stalemate. That was his goal. They don't fight it anymore because it's billions and terabytes movements per second. But at this point, this is what he's trying to do. He's just trying to keep everything that can go to the Lord away from him. Piece by piece, person by person is what he's trying to do. Again, when it says he's going to persecute the people, it says he's going to wear them out. There's an old joke. What's the fastest car out there? Anybody know? The one you rent. Because you will drive that thing so hard, you'll drive it 5 times harder. When I rent a car, it's full on the floor, full brakes all the time, jamming those gears through there if I've got one of those. That's it is. You drive that thing a lot harder than you drive your own car. That's what he's going to do with God's people. He's going to wear them out. He's going to push them harder than they were ever designed. Revelation 13 says people won't be able to buy or sell without a mark. So he's going to make their lives hard. The world's going to be in a turmoil and a mess during this time anyway, let alone him pressing them and pushing them, let alone they have to have a mark to buy and sell. Revelation 13. And he requires everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark on his right hand or on his forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has this mark, the beast's name or the number of his name. Many will just simply die of starvation or being out in the elements, exposure. There'll be no way for them to pay their rent. Okay, here, I'm put my mark out here, you can pay it. I mean, most of us know now you can pretty much put your phone on most of these new kiosks and things. You can pay bills with them. That's where we're going. Wouldn't it be easier? There's a place in Switzerland I read that they put chips in their people's hands to get into a special secure building. They just gonna go up to there. So the technology's there; they can do it tomorrow. all of us could be chipped. So we see what's going to happen. He's going to push the people. He's doing what he can to destroy the Christians so the Christians can't witness to anyone else. That's our biggest power and the strongest thing that we do is the ability that we have to share our story to someone else. You are a weak, impotent Christian if you're not sharing your story because you're not helping the kingdom of God at all. You're just not. Our whole responsibility is to go and tell the story. Go and make disciples. That's what we're to do. Baptizing them. Why isn't it we don't have this thing filled every week? Sending those people out into new churches we're starting all over. What a blessing. Because we're not doing our job. That's the one weapon that we have to fight the enemy. If you don't like the enemy, then get out and share Christ's story. Guarantee that'll make him angry. Maybe it's because we're afraid he will bring on pain in our lives. Well, if that's what you're called to do, God will protect you for everything you're going through. God is good. So we've talked about his pride, his persecution. Let's deal with his power. 2 Thessalonians. I've told you if you want to read Revelation, you have to deal with 2 Thessalonians, Daniel, a little bit of Ezekiel to make sense of all of it. There's a few others. There'll be passages in Matthew, things like that. 2 Thessalonians 2. The coming of the lawless one is based on Satan's working with all kinds of false miracles, signs, and wonders. Miracles, signs, and wonders. These are words that are used with reference to Christ's followers. Yet he's going to have the same thing. It's amazing he can't just sit by and do his own thing. You ever met somebody who's always trying to follow you and do what you do? Just get your own life and do your own stuff. You know, won't you become great on your own? Don't just follow behind me. Get away. Get back. Don't step on my shoes. Ooh. This is the kind of thing he's doing. He cannot be happy. Everything that the Lord has, he wants for himself. 2 Corinthians 12, the sign of an apostle were performed with great endurance among you, not only signs, but also wonders and miracles. He wants everything that Christ has. Can't be happy making his own stuff up. Paul adds the word false here. These are typical of the Antichrist. They will be counterfeit. The world's going to be odd. He's going to be like a magician doing amazing things. And because the world is so far away from the Lord, they're going to be looking and hoping and dreaming of anything that might occur. Christ does miraculous things that are true. Everything he does is counterfeit. People will be totally unable to believe the truth at this time because they will be so snowed by his power. He will come in, he will do a few great things, and when the world's falling apart, he's going to offer people food, and because they've got food, they'll just follow anybody anywhere. He'll do a few magical things, and everything will look great. When this peace treaty with Israel is broken, the first thing he's going to do is kill the two witnesses. We've talked about them at the beginning. They're going to be at the Wailing Wall. They're going to be there preaching and testifying and doing great and miraculous things. And the first thing he does right at the halfway point is he's going to kill them himself. Again, next he will essentially come back from the dead. That's what's going to happen. Go on to Revelation 13. One of his heads appeared to be fatally wounded, but his fatal wound was healed. The whole earth was amazed and followed the beast. Somehow he will be killed or wounded as if he's dead and he'll come back. Again, we've seen some miraculous things the way God has healed people, but that's not what's happening here. The interesting thing is that Satan cannot create anything. He can only copy what the Lord has done. He cannot bring people back from the dead. He does not have that power. There's no illustration in God's Word where he does these kind of a thing. He can inhabit people, and he can do those kind of things. He can influence the world that we're in, but he has no power to create. He just has the power to steal. So it's going to be hard to believe that the Antichrist at any point was really dead. He may fake his own death, make it look good. Again, we have enough, cinema things out there that we can figure out. If you ever watch, there's a show called Face Off, how they put this stuff on, make them look like dinosaurs, and they can do some amazing things. It's going to be something like that. He can't give life, so he can't bring someone back from the dead. It's just not how he works. Christ's resurrection caused great growth in the church. When Christ came back from the dead, everything changed. That huge miraculous event caused the whole world to want to hear about it, the Eastern world at that time. The same thing's going to happen with his resurrection. He can't just do his own thing. He has to copy what Christ has done every time. It worked for Jesus, it's bound to work for me. That kind of a thing. And so when he comes back from the supposed dead, the world's going to be amazed. Oh my my goodness, he may be that Jesus that we've taught. He may be the one that's supposed to be coming. The Bible's talked about. Forgetting truly who God is. Some of his power will cause people to say great things about him. Revelation again. They worship the dragon because he gave authority to the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like the beast? Who is able to wage war against him? They may be quoting it. Boom, 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 boom. Who is able to do it like him? It's a sad world we're in. The dragon's the devil. We understand that. The beast is the Antichrist. But what's important is this sounds like something out of the Psalms. Psalm 113:5. Who is like Yahweh our God? The one enthroned on high. He can't have anything on his own. If Christ did it, if God's people did it, he wants it for himself. The passage goes on in Psalm 113 to talk about God helping the needy, raising their state in life, giving children, and giving joy. Those are the things that the God that I serve does. That's what Yahweh God does. When you look at this, God brings good things. This leader is compared to war. Who is able to wage war against him? Again, I think that's what the Jewish people wanted initially. When Christ came and that triumphant return, when he's going through Jerusalem on the donkey and they're putting the palm leaves. Hosanna, you know what Hosanna means? God save us. They thought he was going to come in and take down the Roman Empire. That's what all of us want. We want a leader who's going to destroy and give people pain who've caused us trouble. That's not who he is. That's not who Christ is. But that is who the enemy's going to be. And he's going to be that one that wages war. When he breaks his treaty with Israel, he'll then erect some type of image of himself in a temple. Again, we've seen this happen in the Old Testament plenty of times, and it's an awful thing. This will be what is called the abomination of desolation. It'll be as dark and as dismal a time as the world's ever seen. Everyone will be required to worship, and this will be the peak of his power. Everybody's doing this. Remember some people who didn't do that in the Old Testament? Who were they? Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. You got to say that word right. Abednego. They stood up. We're not going to do it. Where'd they go? Fiery furnace. What'd God do with them? He protected them. God always takes care of his people. And the best protection may be the minute we're dead here, we're going right up there. That may be the best protection. That's as good as it gets. Or he may protect you and give you a nice, cool summer day in the middle of that fire. But God will do that, and that's the God that we serve. There's nothing to be afraid of. God will take care of his people. We will always get to our destination every time. Finally, we've talked about his pride, his persecutions, his power. Let's talk about his punishment. All good things must come to an end. At some point, he will have an end. And that's the sad thing. He knows that. That's why he's doing all he can to keep you and you and you and you off track. He doesn't want you victorious. He doesn't want you happy. He doesn't want you joy-filled. He definitely doesn't want you sharing a message where someone else can be happy and joy-filled and living a great life. He doesn't want that at all. Daniel 8:25, he will destroy many in a time of peace. He will even stand out against the Prince of Princes. Yet he will be shattered and not by human hands. It won't be man that takes him down because we don't have the ability. Sadly enough, we gave him the power that he has. He never had to be anything other than that lizard. We could have kicked him as far as you kick a football. But no, we sit there, let's talk to the lizard. Let's let him do this. We gave the enemy the power, so we cannot now at this point take it back. We need somebody bigger than us. It will be God and his righteousness and power that removes the enemy. Christ's return, his official return when he comes back, will be the end of the Antichrist's career. There will be nothing else he can do. And at that point, the Antichrist will be on his knees before him, along with everyone else. There'll be no way that he can do a single other thing. But God in his grace is giving every opportunity for all of his people to come to him. Every opportunity. He's putting it off as long as he can so that those who are destined to be with him are going to be with him. Those who can hear his call. And those who will recognize it and accept that beautiful gift, he's giving every opportunity. It just shows God's love and his beauty and his grace for us. But at this point, he will be utterly defeated, the enemy, and powerless when Christ comes back. It's going to be a fun day. It'll be a great day. He and his partner, the false prophet, the Antichrist, we'll discuss him next week, will be the first two cast in the lake of fire. And so the first two that are going in are going to be this Antichrist figure. the one who's been reigning for 7 years. The last half, we believe that he's just totally infused with the devil. The enemy's in him. There's no way around it. And his prophet are going to go. You look at Revelation 19. But the beast was taken prisoner, and along with him the false prophet, who had performed the signs in the presence. He deceived those who accepted the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image with these signs. But of them were thrown alive into the lake of fire that burns with sulfur. That's Revelation speak, meaning it's going to be really, really hot. Sulfur just making it worse. That's all they knew to talk about, is being hot. It's going to be a nasty, nasty place. After this 1,000-year reign of Christ, during this period, the enemy, Satan, is imprisoned. But the Antichrist and the false prophet are put in the lake of fire. But after it's over, Revelation 20, the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet are, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. God will take care of it. He is allowing him to run so that God's people can continue to share the story of Christ. That's our whole role, guys. It's about sharing this message that must get out. Why were we here last night when we could have been sitting in our homes watching the Andy Griffith Show? Why were we doing that? Because that's what we're called to do. We're here to share the message of Christ. We're to get his story out. The world needs to hear it. These people, probably for the most part, are lost around us. There may be a small percentage in there that love the Lord. But they need to hear the story. There's people out there without hope. Everywhere you are, no matter what position you're put in, you need to understand you can be a light. Even if it's in a difficult position, you can be the light to share to someone that needs to hear it. And you never know when that person will say, you know what, I've been praying. Someone would come to me and tell me about this story. I didn't know. I didn't know who God was, but I kind of said, would somebody just tell me something? Maybe you or any of us, or as a group, us going and doing the work we've been called to do. These are large figures. These are the ones we all want to hear about. And next week we're going to talk about the false prophet, who he is. Everybody likes to hear about the Antichrist. False prophet's pretty interesting. But they're just characters. They're characters in God's play. That's all they are. They have a role. And sadly enough, the Lord's allowing them to act for a while. But he will draw an end to this, and he will finish it. God allows him to run to give man an opportunity to share his message. He gives man an opportunity to choose between good and evil, between Christ and the enemy. At some point, their sin's going to be too great. He's going to put an end to it. He'll have had it. I would have called it thousands of years back. But God's much, much more grace-filled than I am. Again, understand God wants you to walk with him. Understand there's really nothing to be afraid of. There are some awful antichrists. We talked about that a little bit last week. Those who don't love the Lord, who work in the world today. Plenty of those. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to fear. You must stand up and be strong and be the people that God has called you to be. This morning, we have a responsibility. Whether I've ever told you, I could have swore I've said it plenty of times. But we need to understand we must share this message. That is our greatest victory against the enemy, is sharing the message of Christ. What